The awkward foreshadowing.
Uh, I'm live, rules. Take it away.
All right, one sec. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th episode of the Coach Buff podcast featuring Knives, ladies and gentlemen. We got the boy Knives. Knives, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm woke up late, so a little tired. Got some food in me, but I'm chilling. I'm here. Glad to be here. Thank you.
No, we're
yeah.
glad to pick your brain. Can't wait. It's been an episode coming. What about you, Mr. Evil? How we doing?
I'm also in the same boat, dude. I'm coming off the fucking Christmas, post-Christmas leftovers, and yeah, dude, food coma all day long. I've been a backwoods away from taking a deep nap, so.
Damn, he's
Yeah.
already celebrating. So
Oh, yeah, dude.
forget
Oh,
waiting
yeah,
on
bro.
for the 25th. I got a lot of holidays to tackle. He's like, I'm getting this
Oh,
over
yeah,
with.
dude.
Over with.
Make
I
the most
love
out of the
that.
off season, man. We eating all off
Making
season,
the
dog.
most out of the off season. That's crazy.
We're coming
That's
back at least
crazy.
20 pounds heavier.
That's crazy. Me, myself, and I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Excited to get this episode going. All right, what's on the agenda? What's on the agenda? We're gonna go over. Actually, Knives has to introduce himself. The world knows who the hell we are. You're on the chopping block, Mr. Knives. Who is
Oh, boy.
Knives? Who are you today? Who do you coach? Give us an origin story. Who the hell is Knives?
I'm Knives. Nathan. Either or works. I'm currently coaching Team Status Quo. I started off coaching a year and a half ago. I started off in collegiate, and I worked my way up to where I am at now. I really appreciate Jackson and them picking me up, and nothing but love for that guy, and it's been fun.
Hell yeah,
Changing up
man.
like coaching styles along the way. I mean, I wasn't the same coach I was like a month ago. I wasn't the same coach I was, 5 months ago. So just constantly adapting and figuring out what I like to be and what I think would be best for my team and players I've helped out along the way, and what I figured out what I can specialize in and what I'm confident in, you know, like helping out with teams and shit like that.
So I have a genuine question for you because I feel like you segued right to your current experience with SQ. What's up with the collegiate scene, man? Like I'm maybe a little foreshadowing here, a little leakage. I'm getting involved in it here pretty soon, and there's a lot going on in that scene as far as development, from third-party organizers to alumni to universities getting involved more into it. What was the state of it for you, and like, how would you say that influenced you as far as your early beginnings as a coach?
Um, well, I started off, it was like pretty bare bones when I started in collegiate. I obviously like segueing from a player to a coach, I just didn't have like the time to play anymore, like scheduling wise and all that. So I still wanted to be involved in the game. I was just like coming off like a really good season as a player, in my book at least. So I was just like the passion was an all-time high, and I still want to be involved. So I got started off with my local university at University of New Mexico.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm
Weird
not.
odd fact, man. My grandpa actually used to be a fucking dean at that university, dude. I fuck
Oh,
with
really?
the
No
University of
shit.
Mexico heavy, yeah, dude. The Aggies,
Nice.
right?
No, that's the Lobos.
The
That's
Lobos. Yeah. I'm tripping.
yeah.
Yeah. New
Aggies is
Mexico
New
State's the
Mexico
Aggies.
State.
Yeah.
But
Dude, fuck yeah, dude.
I joined their Discord, and I had no idea we had like a big like esports scene in my town. So I was just like, I was gonna ask around, see what I can, poke my head into, and then I saw that we had an Apex team, and I was just like, hey, I don't know if you guys need a coach, but I'd love to try out. I gave them like all my accolades as a player and all that stuff, and they're like, yeah, no, come by tryouts. We do tryouts on Saturday, so if you want to come by and help, like, build the roster for the season, then that'd be great. So I went
Fuck
by,
yeah.
it was cool. The guys I coached for like the first split, pretty cool kids. I keep in contact with them today still. So we we ended off our first split, I think top 40
Hell
if
yeah.
I remember. overall. And then
Huge.
I got poached by University of San Antonio shortly after for the next
Hell
split
yeah.
season for split 2. And I got it was a bigger staffing, like we had a full roster, a substitute, and an analyst, and then me. I came in as the head coach.
You
Then
know,
we
Texas
came.
does do it big, man.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was cool. I love all those players. Kuzer was a great analyst. Um, I think we came third in champs and third overall in the nation, so it was pretty cool.
Hell yeah,
It
bro.
was pretty tight.
That's dope.
Was that with the UTSA or?
Yeah, UTSA.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love those guys. That's actually one of like my like closet schools that I root for very, very often, man, out of the Texas region.
Yeah,
I'm born
UTSA was pretty tight.
I'm born and raised from Texas, man. So we rock with all the Texas schools, all the universities, all the programs we can, man.
Hell yeah. Yeah, shout out Texas for real. I'm trying to move out there, man.
Hey,
Maybe
man,
another
you're
day.
welcome, dog. More than welcome, man. Cheap land. Stay to yourself. Mind your business. Nobody mess with you. You don't mess with nobody, man. It's fucking peaceful, dog.
Hell
Peace, peace, peace.
All right, Evil's got a new roommate.
yeah.
All right. So this kind of segues into one of the talks I want to cover for everybody, more or less. But we're gonna start with you, Knobs. What is going on with SQ, man? This is your current roster, man. How you guys
Oh
spending the off
boy.
season? What's you guys' plans right now? What's going on?
So from BLGS to now. So when I joined the team, the roster was Jackson Panic and Crew Buckle. So Crew Buckle retired. Um, Panic left for another team and just left me and Jackson. So, oh wait, let me rewind just a little bit. So we played BLGS 3 with Jackson Panic, then we picked up J Trips, and it was just a little bit of like a personality clash when it came to J Trips joining. It was just a little bit like we were a little unprepared in terms of like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to forefront the team and prepare them like mentally, not just only strategically, but mostly I focus on like, preparing people mentally for match day and getting everybody squared away with that stuff. I just kind of just took what they got and used that, like them playing like hard edge and all that stuff, and just kind of tweaking it here and there and polishing stuff that needed to be polished. And the big forefront was, comms, working on comms and communication, saying all the right things. But when it came down to like, just clashes and headbutting, it was just, personality clash. So J Chips left, Panic left, then that left us with, to pick up, just people we thought would be good for us. Then we ended off BLGS 4 with Dinner and Cersei, and that didn't go really well at all. So
Oh no.
it didn't go well at all. I saw your guys' last episode, and you guys skimmed over SQ. So yeah, no, not my not the best tournament we ever, not the best tournament SQ's ever played in. So I was just like, man, that's kind of a bummer. But right now the off season, we're just kind of chilling. We're winging it. I'm not gonna leak any rosters right now, but
That's totally fair, brother.
I think we have a good one coming up for PSQ for sure. Right now, Jackson's just hanging out. I'm keeping up with him in terms of like, I know the roster and all that, but like trying to get everybody into tip top shape for this coming up PSQ.
So one of the things you mentioned during that I want to touch on myself was that you mentioned that you were like specialized in getting these guys ready for game day, getting them mentally prepared. What's some of the practices that you use that gets your guys ready, and what are some of the things that you see within the play race that maybe before you join versus after you join that kind of is almost a causality of your philosophy, you know?
Yeah. So what I do, I guess not to say differently from other coaches. I honestly don't keep up with really anybody else. I mean, it's not like an ego thing or like personality thing. I just like I just try to focus on my own thing and try not to take anybody from anybody else. But you know what I mean? But like the way I am now, it's just like, I try to do, all the strategic stuff with like what you guys explained last episode. Like I did a lot of zone stuff in my earlier time. I did a lot of zone stuff in collegiate. I did a lot of zone stuff in like with CC teams. And it just felt like I wasn't. I felt like I was like plateauing, I guess, and I was just trying to figure out like what I could do to up my game in terms of like coaching. Then it was just like for like a lot of these kids and players, they don't know how to prepare themselves mentally for like a big game day.
Mm-hmm.
Like preparing yourself like SQ in their like early days of BLGS. Like we were like one of the top teams to, like probably get to regional finals if we didn't like fuck it up, for lack of better terms.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like it's just like that having weighing down on your mental is just like a big like wow I have potentially could play for $100,000 tournament with all like the big dogs, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But just preparing them mentally like that. I mean, going into scrims, having a set uh, of goals in mind, how we can tackle them, what needs priority, what doesn't. Um, just constantly reassuring your team and telling them like the good things, like if we win or lose, I mean, we're gonna gain from this. Like, learn from each other, learn how this guy likes to be talked to, how does this guy handle stress in certain situations, how this guy handles X amount of info from his teammates, and yada yada yada. Not just pick all their brains like that, and prepare them that way in terms
Right.
of like
This is more of a
instead of
personalized
strategic.
experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when I joined a team as of recently, it's just like I join a team and I'll become your friend first before I'll become your coach. So I like to like figure out how my teammates talk to each other, how they communicate, how they handle stress, how they handle like a loss, how they handle an argument, how they talk to each other during an argument, how they talk to each other during a high moment. Do they
Right.
hype each other up like in a big fight? All that shit. It all goes for accountability in my book.
I think that's one thing that me and you definitely lean towards the same philosophy on is that I almost consider myself to be a player first coach where I'm not as abrasive as some other coaches where I'm just trying to like get in there and roll with an iron fist. I almost want you guys to have natural input and natural reactions to each other. That way
Mm.
you guys can develop naturally along with what I have to guide and along with what I have to add to it. I mean,
Yeah,
these
absolutely.
are
No,
these are young men.
I've definitely taken the route like in my early days of like not exactly like what I say goes, but it's like this is like you gotta show
Discipline.
me some sort of respect, the
Yep.
discipline exactly. Like I'll do like I really get I wouldn't say get in their face because it's all on fucking line, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
right,
like
right, right.
I'd be like like what the fuck, like on scrim days like I'd be yelling and people would shit like then like on game days like I'd be the good guy and like everything's cool, everything's all right, giving motivational speeches, all that stuff.
I think that might be one thing that your collegiate days might have provided for you is just that it gives you a little bit more of a perspective naturally and genuinely that these are young men, young women, young people in general that some of them are still growing up, some of them are still progressing through life. So, holding them accountable, holding them to that level of discipline and stuff like that. That's not just like apex things. That's also like being a leader, being a mentor almost in ways of kind of showing them like, hey, if you want to be successful, these are the approaches we've got to take to failure, to adversity. This is, things we're gonna have to go through, not just in Apex, but in life. And if you're gonna have a loser mentality, it's gonna reflect. So like, let's fix that up.
110%. Yeah, no, I totally believe in that. Like a lot of the stuff like when I talk about like in scrims, like setting up X amount of goals and tackling them. I mean, not only I try to do that for them like in game, but outside of the game. Like, what can you do to improve yourself as like a person?
Right.
I'm not trying to be their dad or any or their parent or anything like that. But like, as long as you can improve even outside of the game, and just like to know like you're putting in that type of effort goes to show like you're putting yourself down 110% in
Yep.
game too.
Yep. As above, as so below, man. It's a mirror. Your actions in game should reflect your actions out of the game. It should be a dedication thing.
100%.
Um. Well, with that being said, man, I'm kind of segue forward. Really, you have anything to add on that, brother?
No, I definitely appreciate the establishing discipline. I myself definitely establish discipline first. I'm not a rule with an iron fist or like my way is the highway kind of thing. Um, well, unless it comes down to like macro and strategically. But yeah, definitely understanding how your players talk to each other and understand how they handle all the different situations, like mental breakdowns, crashing out, motivational speeches, stuff like that. It's a coach's job to understand their players, kiss their ass when they need it, give them highs through all the lows, all that stuff. So definitely appreciate that. Can't go wrong with any of that. Something I will piggyback off the collegiate thing. since working with kids actually. Like I just hoisted a banner in a high school league essentially where I'm teaching 12 year olds how to kill apex predators and play competitive at the highest level in a sense. Definitely learning how to talk to people from different age groups onwards is a huge skill set to learn, and it's almost like a therapist in a sense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Just you got to understand everyone before you really start laying things down. So like things that kids go through versus kids that adults go through, or like you have to change your tone to certain people or a certain extent. Some people will think that coaches are soft to certain like players or whatnot or certain situations, but it's like we just understand how to talk to people better than others because it's part of the job. So definitely,
Yeah.
I give props to you. Definitely agree and definitely understand that situation. But
Yeah.
that's all I got for me.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy being the therapist of like teams and stuff. Really enjoyed hashing shit out, getting through the problem, but like not having that stuff bleed over to the next game or bleeding over to the next scrim or bleeding over to like a game day. You know what I mean? So if we're gonna like hash it out, talk each other shit, then like let's do it right now and get over it. You know what I mean? There's no need to, especially
Absolutely.
with especially with SQ. I'm pretty sure everybody knows how
Yeah,
those boys talk to each other. So it's
that's
just like
actually one of the questions I want to ask you,
getting
man.
a. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to touch base on that, man. It's like I have always been told horror stories, and then obviously like the Addy fucking compilation that he posted on Twitter of SQs and their best moments. Like it's almost like a the lovable banter between the guys. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they're known for that kind of banter and that kind of
Oh,
style.
absolutely.
And almost from a coach's perspective, it's borderline terrifying to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Having that level of calm clutter, it's going through early game and we're yelling each other's names and trolling each other instead of talking about where we're going on our rotation, what our pro for POIs or juice, beacon info, all that good stuff is instead. So like seeing all that and seeing the turnaround those guys have made, at least from what skewed perspective I got to see from Panic's perspective, it seems like just from the little time you had with them during BLGS with the full roster, a lot of that stuff got cleaned up. Maybe it's just from a lack of perspective from me not following them during the BLGSs before you were around. I'm kind of a Knives fan. I like to root for my other coaches' success in the scene. So you being on that roster definitely made me check them out a little bit more and like be a little bit more engaged with them. But with that being said, man, how did you take that adversity? How did you approach that situation? And what are some of the things that you've done to mitigate and combat those things?
Yeah, so like I said, when I joined SQ, Lucas was still on the team, Cruel Buckle and Jackson. Obviously everyone knows they're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I myself, I'm a brother, so just being relatable and coming from like that sort of environment, having an argument with your brother, it's just yeah, it seems bad from the outside, from a spectator's like POV. You like you join in on their stream and they're fucking yell at each other at each other's necks or calling each other's names or yada yada yada. I mean that's brotherly love. That's just a brother thing. So I didn't take it too much like into my formula. I'm just like if you guys if that's the way you hash it out, like okay hash it out, but it's like let's not like overdo it. Let's not
Yeah.
mauled bait each other. Let's not do all this. Like if you want to like yeah, if you want to call him a name, call him a name. If you want to do this, say XYZ, but let's actually work towards what we need to get said and not drag it on.
Make it productive,
Uh
at least.
yeah, let's make it productive. I mean, if this is how you talk to each other, I mean, so well, like whatever. All good. So I'm not going to like, hey, like I'm not going to mediate them,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. I mean, there's only so much I can do. I don't want to like have them hate me for
Right.
what
Right.
I'm trying to do, but like I'm trying to be more relatable in a sense instead of like shut the fuck up. Like focus. I've done that before, and it's just like it doesn't work. Sometimes it works, but learning and adapting to other people, other players. I mean, sometimes that doesn't work all the time. And Jackson's a good kid. He knows what he's doing. He's a good shooter. He has a good mental in him. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, when it gets down to like an argument, when it gets down to this, he'll kind of shut down. He'll kind of just be like, yeah, yeah, I did that. But it's just like, yeah, but take accountability. I mean, panic. You need to stop yelling at him. Stop calling
Yeah.
him names. whatever. But yeah, it only got worse. So like when Panic came in for Lucas, and yeah, no, the horror stories they're all true. They're all the rumors are all true. The arguments are not great, but no, I love them. They're great kids. Panic shows me a lot of respect. He always reaches out to me, even though he's not on my team. He's always giving me stuff, and it was just setting guidelines and setting boundaries for each other, and let's pretty much just let's keep the argument to a certain extent. Then I'll come and say my piece. Then let's get the mental back on and play the next game.
Well, that also segues me into a topic that I wanted to talk to you about, especially with your teammates being such chatterbox. Um, what is the in-between game atmosphere like for you guys? Is it rule by an iron thumb? We've heard different philosophies from me, Ruley, and Sos about how we approach in-between game adjustments. From my perspective, at least, just to rehash it, take about a minute, 2 minutes to let the boys figure it out within their own comms. After that, I'm a little bit more assertive, like, hey, appreciate everybody's input. We'll address it one by one. Let's go over the list from top to bottom. Let's get our adjustments done, and then we'll hash out anything extra, you know. So
Yeah. So
go ahead.
go. My fault.
Oh,
I
you're
thought
good,
you
but
were-
I was just gonna say, man, just what's your process for it? What's your directive? Any specific priorities that you feel like may be different from other people, you know?
So as of recently on SQ, I just I go and mute. I'll let them say what they had to say, their arguments, their bickering and all that stuff. Then I'll come in. Okay, like I'll have everyone calm down. Let's take a deep breath. Now let's actually get down to the nitty gritty. Like okay, I'll pull up the VOD. So we could have done XYZ better. We could have done ABC better. We could have done all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's regain. Let's calm down. I mean, it's all good in the long run.
So, question for
And
you. Oh,
yeah,
go
go ahead.
ahead, bud. So you said that you like to VOD review in between the games and like in between your sessions, or not sessions, but in between matches at least. Do you ever feel like that condenses the message you have to say? Because me personally, as a coach, that's one thing that I really struggled with early on. I've kind of covered it before, but I come from the Inc W coaching tree. He was a former pro league coach back in the Gap. Really great guy. He had the same approach where he would do VODs in between, and he was assertive, effective, and efficient at everything he did. That was his whole message of philosophy. He made sure he replicated that within his own practice, and I struggle with it. So like, how man? How do you approach it? And like, is there any like time markers you have for yourself? Is there any structure you have for yourself in within that?
Yeah, just like not only from like an esports standpoint, but like in school for myself,
Hmm.
I was very much a visual learner, and working with hard-headed esports players and kids with egos, and sometimes like your word is not gonna get through to them as much as like a visual something visual for them to look off of.
Something
So
concrete, right?
yeah, and something with the collegiate team when I started off with, I was really spoiled. So we had a facility, I had a smart board. So taking notes on a smart board, and like when we die, I can like pull it up on the smart board. I can draw all over it. It's like yada yada yada. So now that I do everything online, it's just kind of like how can I do this for myself? How can I do this for my players? Um, SQ doesn't stream a lot of their streams. I mean, of their scrims, so I'm usually recording it all myself. Clipping stuff, using Epic Pen and all that stuff, drawing all over the screen, and using more visualized markers instead of like word of mouth, I guess you
Okay.
could say. So it was just a lot of like trial and error in terms of a coach of like what I could do in my power and with my tools and with my limited resources I can online, and just implementing that now. Um, but yeah, that's what I like to do is just give a lot of visual stuff and then condensing it because it feel at least for myself and from other people that I've coached, then it just seems more easier to consume. We can get the point down faster and sooner and more efficiently than again just word of mouth.
Yeah, I totally feel that, man. Because there's a lot of times that I'm left on a topic of maybe a disagreement or a grievance from a player of that maybe I didn't cover a situation or a series of events correctly where he has a different take on them and I might be skewed. And like, I just simply say, hey, if we keep disagreeing, we've already covered our time. We'll look at an VOD review tomorrow, tonight, after the match, whatever the case is. We'll address it after the set's done, and we'll get taken care of then. And I almost feel like, I don't know, man, maybe 60-40% of the time, somewhere in that little mid area, we're just not doing it afterwards, and it just kind of gets swept underneath the rug. So like, I admire that about you personally. I admire that about a lot of coaches who have that approach to it. I think it's a lot more of a strenuous approach as far as coaching goes to get that message delivered within that time, and also use graphics like that. It's terrifying to me, and it seems like an uphill battle to me. So like, seeing you guys do it, really fucking cool, man. Because it's like, I spare myself, I spare the guys all that. If I'm having latency or any kind of issues, or we're having issues getting streams pulled up or finding an effective manner to do that, I just don't do it at all. And I'm just one of those people who, like, if there's problems, adversity along the way of doing this, I cut it, move to something more efficient and effective immediately just to save my time, you know? So like, kudos to that, man. That's really fucking cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Royce, you got something for us, brother?
I will little. I'm gonna rewind a little bit, back the tape a little bit. Because it's interesting having knives now inside enemy lines of status quo, because in my prime was six figures battling over thermal and lightning rod and challengers against status quo and kind of feeding the rage fire of status quo. It's interesting because like you came in and then the brothers kind of did they split their thing apart, right? So it's really interesting to kind of hear the inside out on that, because those guys are very passionate players. They're really, really good players. But like from the outside, it's like, holy shit, these guys are at each other's necks. If anything goes a certain awry. And I think, what was it, a CC game? They won completely muted.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
I remember
that just proves that they're really good players and can get shit done together. But it's just like, as someone who kind of like had butted heads with them before, and then seeing like the whole process from coming at each other's throats to like being a successful team, I'm a big fan of those guys. I know I'm a big fan of you, and I think that they can go a really long way. It's just really interesting, and if you could break it down any more possible, how it's come to know. I know like there's a roster that you can't really announce, but it's just something like, what was the sauce? Because when they started asking for a coach before I really took six figures seriously and ran with it, I thought about it. But I was worried about dealing with the brothers and how that would go. So the fact that you took in head first, like, I just got to know, man. I got to know. Like, what's the sauce? What's the sauce? When you got hard... let's do it this way. Say I'm, an up-and-coming coach that wants to get better at my job, right? What is a tip or a method to the madness, the sauce, as an experienced coach as you are, to handle something like that situation?
To me, it's just what I've learned along the way is just trial and error. And I just thought I was ready to take on something as a beast as status quo and the brothers. Obviously, I didn't get to spend as much time as I did with Lucas as much as I wanted to. Then we got in panic, and it was just still the same dynamic between him and Jackson, arguing and bickering, and so it was still like the same thing I kind of expected coming into the team.
Okay.
But mentally preparing yourself as a coach, and not only as a player, mentally preparing yourself as a coach as well as like you were to do as a player.
Okay.
That's another big thing. Like if you're not prepared to coach this team that you think is like, the horror stories, SQ argues, SQ mutes up, they deafen, you can't get through to them. I think I was just ready. I was considering a long time. I was just like, those players I was always looking up to. I thought they were great. They just need a little bit of guidance. I didn't want to like take over and come into the team as a zone oriented coach and be like, hey guys, we're switching off hard edge and we're going to zone. We're going to command instead of thermal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shit like that. But I wanted to take what they had and as a team and all the years that they played as on edge and take their attributes and their strengths and just kind of worlds collide. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just kind of want to touch up here in these spots, but a lot of the problems we've had is just comms. So we're just
Gotcha.
drilling comms, doing all kinds of different things to improve the comms. Everything I can do in my power to work on comms online and stuff is to my best of my ability. But yeah, I think if you were to ask an up and coming coach if they want to tackle a higher tier team, the upper echelon of tier 2 and stuff like that, just be mentally prepared. Honestly, if you're not prepared, then don't even try. I mean, I'm not saying that to like straight people away, but like if your mental's not in check, then you won't be ready.
How are you going to keep three
That's all.
people's mental in check if yours isn't in check? Yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely understand
exactly.
that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Appreciate that. That's good advice. I like that. All right, Evil, take the wheel, baby.
So you kind of touched on this. You've obviously during your collegiate days played more of a zone play style. Now
Hmm.
that you're in the tier 2 upper echelon you were just speaking of, you've had to adapt more to the team's play style. One, I want you to just kind of touch on what are the challenges you face as far as a coach, switching from more zone-oriented play style, consistency-based play style versus a high reward, high risk play style. And also, what are some things that you have implemented from your zone strategies to this hard edge, or some of the things that have carried over and transitioned along with you during your journey?
Mm, for like hard zone to edge, I think like what I did at least as a zone coach was like how can we rotate out of here in a good timely manner to get to here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just the basic stuff of that. Now it's just like, okay, now we're doing it really slow, but we still have to be out of here at a good time. So it's just a lot of like watching other teams VODs, a lot of note taking, a lot of like anti-stratting, a lot of like
Yep.
expecting when to run into a team on this rotation for this zone. So I didn't really do that too much as a zone coach. I mean, I didn't really do a lot of stuff as a zone coach that I should have, but I was still working with like my schedule and stuff. But now that I have like a way better schedule, I can do a lot of more like VOD reviewing and anti-stratting and a lot of like watching other teams' VODs and stuff like that. I went into BLGS 3 and 4 with SQ doing that stuff with Panic and all that. Just kind of getting a feel for where everyone's landing, who goes for what teams land there, who we're gonna run into, and shit like that. So it's just shifting priorities and shifting tasks as a coach, and trying to help my players the best way I can.
So you kind of talked about anti-zoning, or I say anti-zoning, anti-stratting people and stuff like that. Um, I have been that kid and been that dude whenever I was coming up into the scene where that was my legwork. Go get as much analytical data as possible on everyone around us. The first three POIs on a rotation at the very least. I need at least those three POIs to be maximum accuracy, where those guys are, when those guys are, kind of vibes. Um, do you rely on analysts for this? Do you rely on other info? Is this all legwork done by yourself?
I did it for BLGS 3. I did a lot with Panic.
Okay.
He was a pretty good kid when it came like in terms of helping me with the legwork. In terms of analyst, I only ever had one with me in my coaching career, and it was Kuzer on UTSA, and he relayed a lot of info to me when it came to the collegiate stuff and all that. But for me, I wanted to tackle a lot of like the analyst stuff because I myself, I that's like a department I lack in for sure when it comes to the analytics, and I want to improve on all that and trying to figure out what niches and what patterns I can help myself and not only help my team with. So trying to work on all that, trying to see where I can get started. But no, I enjoy it. I enjoy taking on the challenge that is looking at everybody's VODs and taking notes, and this guy goes here at this time stamp and this guy goes here at this time stamp and they rotate at X amount of time and yada 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 yada. All that shit. You know what I mean? But no, it's
Do
been
you
pretty
find
cool.
it do you find it interesting the difference well, I guess I should preface this. Whenever you were in collegiate, I'm sure the game was a little bit different, especially if it being a year and a half ago when you were in collegiate. That our Evo spawns weren't a thing. We're leveling shields, different mannerisms. the approach macro was altered very significantly, is what I'm pointing out, during these changes towards Evo, beacons, stuff like that, changes to your shields. So, is that something that you find to be incredibly reliable within basing analytics off of, or is that something that you actually see to be more of a variable-driven perspective of, yeah, they have an Evo Harv they have priority for, but traditionally speaking, this team's prioritizing a north rotation, this Evo Harv south, even though they have priority to it, they're not going to take this. Or do you kind of lean on the fact that they're gonna get that shield, they're gonna find these advantages, and like you kind of like expect them to follow more of a what is it?
Like a protocol.
Disdained path. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was on UTSA, we were shifting gears into getting Evo caches like mid-season. So we were landing North Pad for the majority of our split. So shifting into like, doing our loop path, having super specific macro for north zone, south zone, yada yada, centralized zone,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure we're doing all the PvE in terms of the prowlers, the flyers, uh, getting scraps from down beast or wall or something like that.
Right.
Then it was a super challenging time when we got Evo caches. It's like, how is this going to affect our rotates? How is this going to affect our timing? How is this going to affect all that stuff? But it was very 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 challenging, and I don't think I could have done it without a lot of Kuzer's help. But yeah, a lot of switching gears and switching your priorities in terms of now we have these yellow goops on the ground for us to collect now is
Yeah.
going to be totally different.
I personally really love macro. I think it's one of the things that I bring to the game as far as my coaching style, that I can change a team's trajectory pretty point blank simple just off the macro I can provide to them. With that being said, seeing the Evo Harvest come about, it hurt a couple of traditional playstyles. I've always been a very anti-traditional person. I've always been, let's challenge the status quo, no pun intended. Um, let's keep playing the game forward. Let's keep moving the game and evolving the game forward. So I've kind of specialized in different strategies towards like playing more pivot points, playing more of a hybrid edge flex style where you still have your 60-40 split. You can fall back on your rotation, get to your easy zone route for round 4. Anything on the edge, you have a pretty easy, advantageous spot. If nothing else, a priority to clean that edge, clean the wash, capitalize off the opportunities. So getting the Evo harps for us was especially challenging because you don't get that timing to get to those pivot spots. You don't get to be, as traditionally speaking, efficient on your rotation. You've almost got to take some negative opportunities to get to purple shields, especially whenever really joined us. I'm a crackhead, and I absolutely love countering comps. Well, one of my absolutely fucking Frankenstein creations, Miracle Children, really got to be a part of was the Crypto Pathfinder Maggie comp. Whenever Newcastle was not Jesus yet, but it's pretty fucking good. They just introduced him to meta. You didn't see a lot of Gibbies yet. You're seeing a lot more Catalyst, Bangalore still, stuff like that. And we would just entirely outpace fights. We would just entirely clean up everything on our edge. And it was almost enabling a playstyle that gave us opportunity to kill you faster in early game and consume more space faster in early game so that we don't have to fight for our pivot spots anymore. We just kill everything on our edge early, then we walk into our pivot spots. So the Evo Harp definitely changed a lot for me. Flexing out to those different playstyles was a learning curve to say the least, as far as what I want to do in the game. So I can't imagine for you guys in the collegiate scene. I mean, the collegiate scene at that point in time was very much a mosh pit, to say with the lack of better terms. I mean, you had a lot of teams doing a lot of different things and a lot of inexperience within it that caused quite the variables, you know?
Yeah, definitely. The ad of Evo caches was my Roman Empire for sure. Because I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I gonna? I don't know what to do. Everything that I've learned and everything that I've crafted in terms of macro and rotations and loop pass is gone out the door.
Yep.
So it's like, shit. What do I do?
Really got anything to add about the loot cache situation, brother?
Yeah, so the going over to the Evo harvesters, I had even prior to that when the replicators came in, I strictly moved to traditional hard edge with the Evo or the replicators, right? Because everyone you'd had the three originally you had the three spawns for the crafter, and you're gonna spend time in zone crafting and getting your resources up anyway. To me, the implication of the Evo caches and then the change to the crafters just sped that process up even more, in my opinion. So traditionally playing harder edge and you giving up your priorities for the most part, of course. Now at the beginning I was playing from climatizer, and everyone knows how good climatizer is. So that kind of just sped up the whole process for me. The bigger change to me when it came to Evo Harvesters is zone teams. How are they going to benefit off of that? Because now they're rotating on prio, they're trying to get to their spot faster, but at the same time they don't want to get there on whites, because that shit sucks. So the bigger change was trying to get zone teams to get to their 1, 2, 3 spots in prio, while also not being on white. On edge, it's just like we're taking the game slow already. Now it's a little bit faster. We can get into ring 2 with our purples and reds versus AFKing from POI to POI, crafting and getting your stuff up that way. It's just a little bit faster with the Evo caches. So I didn't really have too much of a curve in the sense of my traditional coaching. I think when it came to zone, it's getting from white to blue and scoring versus coming in as God and just toppling over teams who were on blue, or just getting off of white into blue. I can't say that I had that problem with it for edge, because I just feel like it was a more oiled, efficient machine. But then when it came to zone and coaching teams who like to play zone, it's like, okay, how do we benefit off this update? How do we get from white to blue to purple into the end game versus teams who are walking in David versus Goliath style? So that's all I gotta say. I feel like it's a little inside out from your guys' responses, but me, I was just more effective patch to me.
Well, boys, we're approaching our around 44 minutes, 45 minutes mark right now. We've been around. Knives, I didn't talk to you about how long I had you tonight, man. I know you're a busy night owl, so I don't want to keep you too long, brother. But if you're down with it, I want to cover a few more topics, then we're gonna dive into our community questions for about 15, 20 minutes. Let you cook on that and just go off on some things. I DM'd you a list. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
I don't think so. Was
No
it
worries,
on
brother.
Twitter or
It's
on?
gonna be on Discord, brother.
Let me see.
So every episode, I send out a request to all of our viewers that support the show and all the people who are a part of making the show. I'm like, hey, this is our guest for the week. This is who we have coming on. What are some questions you guys have for him? And typically, a lot of the comp players and a lot of the comp teams that are newer to the scene will take advantage of this and ask you a ton of great questions. This week, along with last week, this is going to be Vortex Esports teams. One of their teams sent in a whole. They sent in so much, I didn't have the character space to send to you in one message. So take your pick of your prio for those lists whenever we get there. I'm gonna cover a few. We are gonna cover a few more topics with you and kind of touch on a few more things. And just once you get ready, brother, uh, chat down that list. Whatever ones you want to do. I think he organized them to like more simpler questions at the top, harder questions at the very bottom. But yeah, man. With that being said, I just wanted to talk to you about one, what are your off-season plans as far as how you guys are approaching the off-season? What's the goals, if nothing else, during the off-season that we're looking to accomplish? And also, are you going to any lands coming up for the off-season? I know that I have already personally been asked if I'm going to make my way to DreamHacks Dallas. You talked about Texas. Sure would be a hell of a place to see you, Knives.
Yeah, that'd be great. No, I honestly, esports aside, I have no PTO left, so traveling is kind of kind of out of the question until the new year. But other plans for the off season. Um, right now we're just kind of taking it easy. I don't want them to like always focus on Apex like it's their job, and to a sort of an extent it kind of is, and this is what they're passionate about, and this is what they take to do on their off time to do. But I don't want to constantly berate them with like, hey, this is what we're gonna want to do, yada yada yada. And I just kind of think if they're gonna take out their own pace, then well be it. But I want to make sure we're locked and ready to go for when PSQs come. But right now we're just kind of taking it easy. Like I said, I'm not gonna speak too much on our new roster, but the players we got coming in are really good.
Hell yeah,
Really,
man.
I'm really excited to be working with these people in the long run. I
You
think
know,
it's
the
gonna
last
be
time we
real
had a
great.
coach not say anything, they popped up with full English, a pro league team, like 4 days later. So super
Mm.
excited to see who you guys got coming up with SQ, man. Like honestly, I mean, if you watched other episodes, I'm sure you've heard me talk about it a couple of times. I was beyond excited to see you get that spot, get that team, pick them up, and then pick you up. I think there isn't many coaches in the tier two scene that have the mental fortitude or stamina to approach that team and deal with that team in those ways that you have. Just based on the horror stories, like I said, my perspective is skewed. I've seen a lot more controversy than I've seen success out of those guys. Not saying their overall performance; they are very, very, I can't stress this enough, very talented players. Just the controversy around their names seems almost imposing of their reputation and almost unfair in some ways. So super proud of you, dog. I loved watching you pick that team up. Super excited to see what you guys do in the upcoming season. Super excited to compete against you guys. Um, with that being said, man, excuse me, rules. Do you have anything before you jump to the community questions?
For him, I mean, I don't know if there's an amount of gifted subs we can get to get this guy to spill the beans. I missed the cat episode, but I got to see the full English announcement. So other than getting this guy to actually talk, I ain't got much, boss. I ain't got much, boss.
All right. I'm gonna cover our off-season plans as far as the EMEA region and the NA region for what we got going on real quick. The EMEA region, we think we found our third. We're going pretty strong with Big E right now. Pretty proud of that dude. He's jumped in, filled roles. English is not his first language. Obviously, I'm American. As ignorantly and bluntly and as American phrase as I can possibly speak, I speak American. Okay. I speak Spanish too
Hoorah!
because I'm from Texas, but like, brother, I'm limited to those two dialects, and I am fucked after that, dog. If you speak anything else to me after that, brother, I'm a huh? You said huh? What? Nah. So with that being said, some different adversities I haven't faced before as far as language barrier. Um, I obviously have a thick accent. I'm obviously have a dialect of culture of a southern culture, so it's uh it's offered its own adversity as far as how I approach that and how I have to use the language in a different way and more directive and decisive versus some of my other phrases like sticking my arm up my IGL's ass and making him talk like a puppet to get comms out of him
Yeah, that was great.
doesn't really land with somebody who barely understands English and he's like, why are you trying to fist me? That's not
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
Definitely, I
don't
don't
like
think they'll
this
take
guy.
that the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Rules, you want to talk about the no, I can't say anything, but you want to talk about our shared Pookies in the NA region?
Our new project. Our new project.
Yeah.
For them, I mean, that they have their schedules. Some have work, some have school. To kind of give you an idea of the range that we're working with. But they're locked in and dedicated. As myself as a coach, it is my job. So like they're as much as it would be nice to be relaxed and chill and kind of handle life heading into the new year with your approach knives. At the end of the day, that shit fills my pockets. So I'm in the lab all the time, and they want to be in the lab as much as possible too. So I'm excited to move along with these boys. And we have some offers cooking in the background. There might be some announcements on top of the roster, but going forward. But yeah, with Evil handling the EU guys and really locking that mess down, I've been definitely heavy set on working on the NA side, and we're all excited. We're all excited, ready to cook.
All right, man. Well, with that being said, Knobs, I just sent you the last little trailer or stragglers as far as the questions are concerned. You got a lot, man. People want to hear your opinion on quite a bit. So by no means don't want you to tackle all of this, man. If you got the S on your chest and you feel like Mr. Bulletproof can handle it all, more power to you, man. We got roughly we're trying to keep it within about an hour and 30, hour and 20 minutes. We've
Uh-huh.
got roughly 20 minutes for an hour and 10, hour and 15. I like to start winding down there, so take your time, brother. There's no rush at all. We're on your time.
Okay, word. Okay, so for like the first set of questions that you sent me, do you want me to answer those, or you want to jump into that last bit you sent me?
You approach it whichever style you want to, brother. The
Okay.
last bit is from a different person. The first bit is entirely from one person.
Okay, word. So the one I liked was holy shit, I lost it already. This damn fucking emo hair, bro, is not
Brother,
working out
trust
for
me.
me.
You keep it going. It gets there, dog.
Oh,
Just pull it
don't know.
back.
I just cut it, so I'm regrowing it out right now. So I know what the struggles are like. bu- 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 What strategies can I use to stay adaptable and learn quickly from losses without getting discouraged? So, just from pure experience, from what I've learned and what I've seen from players and what I've gathered, um, the best way to learn from a loss is just take it on the chin. As long as you have a good set of teammates, if you even have a coach, they'll always hold you to a certain standard. They'll always hold you accountable. They want you to improve as long as you are mentally ready to take on that type of criticism, that type of learning experience from everybody that's around you. Um, the model I like to use is, like I said before when we first started the podcast, is I like to be everybody's friend first before I become their coach. So just being in a good quote unquote working environment, these are the guys you're going to be coming to work with every day. You don't want to have to resent them or despise them every time you clock in for a shift. You know what I mean? It's going to make everything a whole lot better. So just learning correctly, everyone's going to help you out in the long run. Just, I mean, getting discouraged is all part of the formula. Honestly, it's going to happen to the best of us. It's going to happen to the worst of us. It's going to happen at times when you're not going to expect it and be like, oh damn, like, I should have done this better. I should have done this better. I should have said that. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
but I think losing is good, and if you do it more, then you'll come out on top. Honestly.
I agree. I think in a
Another.
variable-driven game, I think that if you take losses personal, it's not gonna work for you, man. Like you've got to take them on the chin. You've got to eat that loss. Take everything as it comes naturally. You know.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I appreciate that answer a lot.
And another thing I kind of appreciate, like I said before, like win or lose, I think anything we gain from it is good. I'm kind of glad that we didn't do good. I mean, poor wording. We didn't do good in BLGS, but we're going to do great in PSQs because I know the ability of these players. I know my ability as a coach to set these guys on the right track. They get them mentally prepared is going to be great. They're going to use this as fuel to the fire to be like, okay, I didn't do good here in this part of this tournament, but we're going to excel in PSQs. So I am overly confident in my players and with what we got coming up. So that was a big loss, missing out on regional finals, but take it on the chin. We learned, we adapted. Now we know what we're going to take into PSQs coming up. So very excited.
I like that. Hardly agree with everything. Definitely taking it on the chin. My mentality going about it is even if you lose the game, you're only losing if you didn't learn anything from it. If there's something that just didn't happen, or you just, it's not a productive game, that's only the real loss for me. You only start losing when you don't care and you're not learning anything from it. So definitely take it on the chin and keep it moving forward. Keep it moving forward. It's one game. Series can be 6 game series, can be 12 games if it's match point. It's a marathon, not a sprint. At the end of the day, hard agree on it. You just got to take accountability. That's a big thing, and keep moving forward.
I agree. I think that
110%.
without losses, there's no opportunity for growth, man. You've got to lose to grow at times. If not, plateaus are almost like success only gets you so far. You know. You've got to feel a little bit of that taste of bitterness to stay hungry for something sweet. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's why I like to use like the model of setting X amount of goals. And I usually try to set 3 for like a scrim or
Hmm.
like a game day. If we and it doesn't have to be like all in game goals. It could be like an outside goal as like a person. If you fulfill that goal and it's something you feel like you tackled on, then we're learning from the previous scrim. Then that leaves us with something that it starts narrowing down our options and starting to play quote unquote perfect in a battle royale. So tackling as many problems and tasks and tropes and uh, arguments and stuff. It's all good stuff to gain off of at the end of the day. Even just like waking up on time or eating something better for your day. That was another thing when I came to join SQ. It's just like, um, providing for my players, even though I don't have to, but I like to keep my guys, comfortable. Not only like strategically wise or mentally wise, but Panic was like he joked, he was like, "Yo, I'm kind of hungry." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna send you food, whatever. I'll send you like fucking
Yeah,
$30 for food. Get yourself some DoorDash."
I
You know
have
what I mean?
a
Same thing with Jackson and all those other guys, but like, yeah.
you have a Panic Apex. I have a iRage Apex. And pretty much the same thing, dude. Something about these fraggers, man. They just if they're hungry, they're hangry, man. They just don't perform well. So sometimes they gotta get them a little McDouble or two, Throw some
E-
apples in the basket,
exactly, exactly.
That's great. That's great.
Let's see. I saw another one that was pretty good. That kind of was relatable to what we're currently facing, and I lost it again, man. I'm just. Oh, here we go. How do you adapt your playstyle to counter evolving metas without sacrificing your core strengths as a player? So right now in SQ, as we all know, Jackson is a pretty hard bang crutch. So transitioning over to like double support meta, Gibby, Newcastle, whatever else you want to play, either whether it be Cat or Pathfinder. It was just what I like to. I was trying to narrow it down to mostly the abilities and what we could have, and what could be used as, let's say, like a Bangalore player, like Jackson was.
Mm-hmm.
So Jackson is, he's very aggressive. He's mouse and keyboard. He's he would always like to be in the forefront of the fight. He always like to be in people's faces and controlling the fight, setting the pace pretty much with Bang. So we try to put him on Pathfinder. We try to put him on Newcastle. And I think what we finally narrowed it down was just like, Gibby.
Yep.
Use your smokes as cover. You can use Q as your cover, but we got to use it effectively. We got to use it properly. We got to use it in a timely manner. Bangle to hold, push people off of space, and keeping from people to pushing up on us. That's what you got Gibby ult for. Same manner. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, if you wanted to set the pace for a fight, then Gibby was the one to help him set the pace for a fight. That was the way to have him be really effective in his like setting the pace for the fight in 3v3s or going for a third party. Then he'd still be involved without being totally discouraged and totally you know uh, unconfident about his skills as on a new legend. So I just weeding out what you want to play in terms of like IGL, or whether it be anchor or frag or refrag or co IGL, yada yada yada. What legends can you use to, or what you think you could play without sacrificing too much? And like a lot of like from the previous meta, um, a lot of people like switching off, whether it be like I don't even know what the fuck the last meta was, but like
Been so
swapping
long
like
ago, brother.
to like, yeah, there's so much going on, but like a lot of people like switching to Newcastle and getting overly aggressive and learning how to pace yourself out better. So just learning, not only, I mean, going back on the first topic too, the first question, the first community question, but it's just learning together as a team, learning together with your coach, and setting certain goals and setting certain boundaries and setting certain like timings and stuff when it comes to like fighting and using your abilities and timings and cooldowns and stuff. I think that goes hand in hand for sure.
think this meta is definitely the most impactful as far as your uptime, as far as recycling utility goes. If you fuck up your timing and your uptime as far as recycling utility, that Gibby bubble and that Newcastle Q are just slightly together, slightly just a little bit, and you're
Oh
not
yeah.
you're on blue shields, you're cooked. It's done.
Hmm.
The mistake has been made, and now you're just waiting. You just have to deal with whoever makes the play on you next. So I
Yeah.
think that's a great point of emphasis to make on this, especially the current meta. Is shield uptime and utility regen is huge.
Yeah. It just, I mean, there's a bunch more layers when it comes to not just only like a one-dimensional like answer like that. I mean, it can go on and on and on. It could be deeply rooted into like your communication overall as a team and how people handle stress in certain situations and stuff like that. Like, you know, if you don't handle stress in like an end game really well, then you know you might fumble your cue, or you might fat finger it, or you might actually use it when you don't want to use it. Now you got to adapt, and you gotta think on your toes now.
Yep, the
To
series of variables that are coming now are going to be very unfortunate and very punishing.
exactly 100%. So this other question. Let's see. Oh, how do you communicate with your teammates effectively during an end game? So that was like a huge thing coming onto SQ, was like obviously their comms were kind of all over the place, and they're really, again, from a spectator's POV, they're always chaotic and wild and mold baiting and shit like that. So a lot of their attributes were, you know, the early game kind of troll, whatever, yada yada yada, but we kind of get stuff done efficiently. But when it came down to the end game, what I really like to focus on was a lot of their comms. Like, is this guy just overcoming stuff? Is he not saying the correct stuff? Is this guy, you know, not saying anything? Does he need to say more? Are we, you know, giving out commands? Are we setting up ourselves to take a fight? Are we gonna mirror this team? Or are we gonna third this team? Yada yada yada. So just like kind of honing in on certain attributes as our team. Um, Luckily for my team, we like stressful environments. We love the stress. We love the chaos. So that's what honestly activated them. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, effectively, as long as like, you know, calming good stuff for your team to bounce off of or work off of info wise, you want to be like overcoming everything. Like, this team's fighting, this team's fighting, this team's fighting. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Don't want to
Mm-hmm.
stress out your IGL. You don't want to stress out your players at all. You don't want to make more stress for already in stressful environment. So as long as we're honing in on uh, certain things that we're saying, and just it's really good. I mean, again, it's all trial and error. You can't really just like prepare yourself for an end game and, you know, say like, oh, we're going to be doing XYZ for the end zone here. You got to put
Yep.
yourselves in those type of environments to actually uh, work off of and improve and be. You can't really replicate that, I guess you could say. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess you can 3v3 and all that stuff and kind of overcome everything and communicate to your teammate really fast and all that stuff, but you got to put yourselves in those situations first to actually effectively improve on your end game comms.
I think a lot of this also leans into the area, at least as far as my take on this, is just that, especially getting towards these end games, the level of decisiveness and directiveness you have.
Yeah,
Um, Info is great, calming the info is great. Everything you said, I can't agree with you more. But a game-breaking feature that I would like to take time to point out, in my opinion at least, is your directive and decisiveness as far as following your IGL. IGLs, you've got to be preemptive. It can't be a reactive call. It's got to be something that you're thinking forward the entire time that, hey, once this team missteps, once this team, let's say that they're in the RV and we're holding house across from them, RV's got to push first. They've got a team on the rock beside them that's bunkered down in the Newcastle wall. They've also got to move with RV team. Well, we know we can LOS to the cat wall. We know we can, take certain utility and, shove it in their face and make them deal with us. But finding the time, the correct time, the decisive time, and then doing it in a directive, efficient, effective manner, all comes off on your IGL. Co-IGLs, I think you can definitely include in this conversation, but having that shot caller be that level of effective and efficient, definitely is a game-breaking feature in those situations.
Definitely. And it's just like not being like one dimensional with
Hmm.
your call. It's like, okay, if we're gonna be, pushing up to this team and there's XYZ team still around, how are we gonna how are we gonna how are we gonna deal with surrounding teams after we make our play? How
Hmm.
are we gonna what's our next plan of attack? We gotta be thinking fast, thinking more than a step ahead. We gotta be thinking 3 steps ahead.
Yep.
If the third step ahead doesn't work, then we got to think on a back plan. How much time do we got and stuff like that. It's just like a lot of mental notes and a lot of um, stuff you got to keep on the back of your mind
Yep.
before making an actual play. Then it'll all flow a whole lot better. You don't want to be like, okay, my IGL wants this. We're all gonna tunnel in on this plan. Someone has to be always thinking on the back foot for sure.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree with that, man. Rolls, you got anything to say on that?
No, I definitely got to be proactive versus reactive. Nothing frustrates me more as a coach than a team that kind of just sits there and waits to see if the game plays for them when they can dictate the pace of the game or put themselves in a winning position by just actually playing the game. You know how I feel about that. Um,
Yep.
Along with that, definitely calls. You need to be very assertive, commanding. Balvarian FPS will tell everyone, tell the world, command your troops. Um, and definitely cleaning up comms. I think it's definitely an IGL co-IGL thing. Fraggers should be calling numbers, calling targets who are weak. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the entire team has a clear-cut plan going into how we're going to win this game. Um, and how I always like to, coach communication is, you have your plan, your direction, and going and how you're going about going through that. I forget the what do you want to call that? I'm blanking on the name.
Phrase?
Not the phrase, but what was it? The not the algorithm either. It's how I do identify,
Yeah. Yeah.
isolate,
Priority based.
initiate, whatever that is. So for comms, it's just like direction, whatever it is. Either way, it's just if it comes back to me, I'll get it. But yeah, it's just important to just have a plan. How are you going to do it? And following through with it.
And confidence too. If you don't
Confidence
feel
is definitely a
confident,
big thing.
I think
Definitely a
that's
big thing.
we've touched on that a few times during the shows in the previous past that unspoken things like confidence and chemistry are game-breaking factors within team dynamics. I can't stress that enough to the masses. Like, be confident, put the work in, build your chem up. Everything else tends to fall in place when you have those two fundamentals within your team. 9 out of 10 times, I'd say.
100%. And it kind of segues into like the last question that I got here is how to get team chemistry high other than just playing the game. And again, that's another thing I think I specialize well in is just bringing the guys together, not only in the game but outside the game. Um, the one thing that I quote unquote struggled with status quo is they were about business. Like this is work, and coming in with panic. That I mean, I give so much kudos to him. He's a really passionate kid. He wants it. He wants it bad. So working with him, it was great. Just coming in, and it was just nothing but business. Like, hey, what do you got for me as a coach? What can we work on? Yada yada yada. But him working with other coaches and stuff like that in the past, and probably being more strategic based and business about. I was more like on the you know quote unquote less serious. I want to get
Hmm.
to know him. I want to know his name. I want to what does he do? Like where do you go to school? Like what do you do other than play Apex? Shit like that.
Hmm.
So like doing that like with your whole team is just it's just great. Like breaking the ice, don't be a robot, you know what I mean? Again, I mean if you want to take this as like, this is your job, this is all serious, I want to make it to the league, I want to do good in CC, whatever your goal is. But it's like you can't really do that if you don't know who you're playing with. And
Yep.
that's kind of the unfortunate approach to like, the tier 2 like stereotype of, we lose a CC and there's a new team the next week. So I want to try to eliminate that with like a lot of the teams I go in and coach. Is just like, I want to make this like an investment. Like, these are the guys you're gonna play with. Get to know them, play other games with them. Shit, just watch shit on Discord with each other, like
Yep.
shoot the shit, whatever, all night, all day. These are the people you're gonna clock in to work with. You
Yep.
can't, you won't, it won't be a healthy working environment if you clock in for your scrim day and be like, all right, we didn't really learn too much as players or as individuals, but we only learn, when we fucked up and yada yada yada. And now it's just like, when we fucked up, it's just like trying to hold each other accountable the wrong way. Now it's just
Yep.
like, oh, this guy's doing this wrong, or this guy's doing this wrong, or this guy's doing this wrong, and it just never meshes well. It never meshes well, and that just um that's what I like to do. It's just like, being the mediator, the therapist, and everything for my team. I
Personal
really enjoy
investment.
that shit. Yeah, I really enjoy that shit. I really um just for my own personal standpoint and my own upbringing and stuff, becoming a coach. I was really antisocial. I was really introverted. I was really uh just I wasn't really down to talk to people at all. It was really hard doing that, becoming a coach and trying to, set a forefront for people to help each other out without, very much liking yourself. So it just goes to show, like, proving stuff and, working on yourself, not only as a player, as an individual, as a teammate, brother, sister, whatever the fuck. Um, you work on yourself enough, you'll improve. And I think that's what I've come to do and what I've come to learn as I've improved on myself, not only in the game, outside the game, but as a person. So coming to quote unquote love your teammates, like your teammates, uh, like be a brotherhood,
Yep.
be good workers, be good coworkers. Learn to you know lose together, win together, feel all those emotions together. Don't shut each other out. Talk to each other. If there's a problem, talk to each other about it. Whether it be an in-game problem, an outside problem, whatever.
Hmm.
Just building that bond, an unbreakable bond, is it's worth more than the game, to be honest, than
I
anything else.
fucking love that messaging, dude. I don't think I have heard a coach genuinely mirror that perspective. I come from a very football background, being from Texas. A lot of the things, I mean, my favorite saying, really has heard this so many fucking times. What is a little adversity to a tough son of a bitch like yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stuff like that, man. I learned that growing up in high school, fucking Texas football, the religion that is, the cult that is.
Yeah.
A lot of the mental things that I learned then definitely helped me out. But like learning that you have to love your teammates. It's, and I don't mean that in like a sarcastic way of like, oh really, you're my Pookie, I love you, dog. Nah, like straight up like this guy right here, this next to me, he puts in the same amount of work as I do. He, if not more, he puts in just as much hours as I do, whether they be different hours or they're the same hours. We're actively working. We're working our asses off. I can lean on this guy next to me to know that he's doing that. I can lean on this guy next to me to know that outside of the game in his personal life, he's becoming the best person he can be. Like you got to embrace, you got to build that brotherhood, like what you were saying, man. Like I can't agree with the messaging more. I absolutely love that. Dude. That's awesome. I fucking love hearing that stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah,
Love it.
no, it's really healthy. Especially coming. I mean, I have zero sports background. I have nothing. I was an emo kid at the back of the lunch table, you know, with your nerd friends playing video games and listening to fucking screaming music. So zero sports background, but like implementing that and going the extra mile of like coaching culture and building brotherhoods and stuff like that. And it's I put in the effort, so I want the same effort in return for my players, whether it be reaching out to them individually after a shit game day or a shit scrim set, like hey man, like if if you're feeling any bad about what happened today, give me a call, talk to me, I'm here for it, any time of the day, whenever you want. whether it be with the team in VOD review, whether it be you want my phone number, you can FaceTime me, you can call me, whether it be like I said before, if if you need something to eat for a game day to improve your mood, if you're hungry, if you don't want the shitty snacks in your fucking pantry, then if you want something great, hit me up. I'm there for you. I want to be there for you. I want to make this whole experience of what we call esports and everything as really something special. You know what I mean?
One of the things you mentioned earlier is one of the things that's huge within my philosophy whenever it comes to this topic. Playing other games with each other, man. Apex, with all due respect, I mean, we see the numbers around it. I'm sure all of us are hearing the rhetoric on Twitter and the rhetoric around the game on the content as far as, we're on the decline, we're on the back half of this game's life expectancy, and that's just kind of demoralizing and sad to hear to some. Others, it's just kind of a part of the evolution of gaming, right? But with that being said, getting into other games with each other, man, going and playing Marvel Rivals, going and playing Overwatch, going and fucking playing Lethal Company with the boys, have those task lists, those goal lists, the for shits and giggles, fuck around and find out games. Zero stress involved. Just sit back, have a good time, watch Discord like you were talking about earlier. Just like find these niche ways to just be around each other. The time invested around each other is such a understated aspect that we look at it in game. We look at the data in game all the time as far as like, hey, we're not getting the results we want. We need to be applying pressure towards R5ing, towards aim training, towards getting these in-game things worked on. But whenever you have these chemistry issues, whenever you have people that aren't getting along, I shit you not, brother. I have had so many instances where we have just gotten teams together and I've took them into modded lethal. Uh, Probably shouldn't say this on stream, but the other day we had an Uncle Ruckus mod for Lethal Company. As you could imagine, it was absolutely fucking insane, priceless, and out of pocket.
That sounds
Um,
great.
yeah, dude, having those experiences with the guys, being able to laugh until you cry together, being able to hear them scream for their virtual lives as they're falling to the pit of death, or they have a kraken fucking chasing them down. All these experiences, man, like they're as wholesome as they can be. They're also just like so much better for having that rapport with your teammates, having that bridge of trust, that bridge of a relationship to say the very least, where you know this guy's your guy. You know what I'm saying? Not to be on some off shit, but like this is your home right here, man. This is the teammate. This is the Brody. He's gonna go to war with you, whether it be a Lethal Company, or we're looking at fucking 8 teams left, round 6. Ain't nowhere to go. We got a good bowl to play off of. Who we killing? He's gonna
Yeah.
show up. He's gonna show out.
Yeah, and I think that again, I think all the questions I picked out all go back onto each other, and build enough team chemistry outside the game, with everything that we listed, to be in those high stress end games. 15 squads up. How are we gonna kill everybody? How are we gonna win the game? And one of your teammates not be feeling too confident about himself, they not be calling the wrong stuff, but getting a feel for how your team reacts in stressful situations, or uh, just not feeling confident about each other. Uh, you as a player know how to communicate to your team, how to calm them down, how to make them feel better, how to boost them up, how to give them gas when they need it. Because your coach can't chime in the middle of the game and be like let's fucking lock in, let's can't give them a motivational speech in 30 seconds
Yep.
and that time being when they're trying to lock in and trying to figure out a game plan.
Can't make
But
somebody your puppet mid game.
yeah, exactly. Just taking all those into accountability and to your goal list, and just improving as an individual, not as a player, but just shedding light on yourself. That communication is not your best thing. Reaching out to other people all over the internet is not your best thing, and then you can work on that. If it's something you struggle with, in the real life, then there's people all over the internet you can talk to. Building teams, LFT posts, stuff like that. Then it helped me be a more sociable person outside of the internet, instead of being chronically online all the time. Because again, I don't have no sports background. I had no coach mentor growing up, like, to look back on and be like, hey, yeah, that's my guy. You know what I mean? I had to be that for myself. I had to get egoed by those teams. I had to get shit on by other people. I had to learn all that stuff. But I did it, together with people as a team, and it was great. It was all experiences I truly hold near and dear to my heart and near and dear to esports as a whole. And I greatly appreciate all the experiences that I had to get here. So it's been great. It's been cool.
All right, brother. We're approaching on that hour and 30 mark, hour and 20 minutes right now. Just want to hit the last 10 minutes, kind of wind things down for us. One, just want to tell you how much I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and hang out with us. I know you're a busy night owl, dude. There's a little bit of controversy leading up to this week as far as interior between us and the guys as far as the pod. So like, didn't know this was gonna happen. Super fucking happy this happened, dude. Super grateful for your time and
Yes.
for your input that you've gotten to come on the show and provide for us. One of the requests I haven't talked to the boys about that I'm gonna make on a whim here, and they're just gonna have to deal with me being an asshole about it. We owe you. We owe you big time, dog. You went above and beyond for us whenever I was talking shit on Twitter, like, hey man, we're playing out the new year. This podcast thing's pretty fun. We're enjoying it. We want to do it more. Who can we get involved? You had the balls to say Talmage. You had the balls to get him in there, man. And get us around that. Huge shout out to you, dude. That's so much love. I appreciate that so much. That's gonna be huge for us. It wouldn't be right if I don't invite you to be a part of that episode.
I agree. I think, yeah,
That'd be
if you
sick.
can make
That'd
it,
be
I
awesome.
would love to have you back for a round 2.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely, man.
I'd be more than pleased to be back. That'd be awesome. That's like
Um,
one of the coaches I look up to, with coming up as myself. So that'd be awesome to be a part of.
Give you a chance to get on the other side of the desk, man. Be the interrogators, you know what I'm saying? Usually me and really play good cop, bad cop. We're gonna have to add another cop in there somewhere.
Get a deputy.
Therapist, yeah.
Get a deputy down there.
Deputy therapist, yeah. So, anyways, man, I appreciate the fuck out of you coming on here, dude. I look very, very much forward to getting things worked out with you as far as getting the Talmage stuff lined up. Owe you big time for that, dude. Nothing but love for that. Super fucking excited that we got to interview you and like get you along board. Like I said, man, I've been a fan of yours, been a mutual of yours on Twitter, rooting for your success. So for a while now, so like, love my other coaches in the scene. I don't think that we network enough with each other. I think that Zany's got a nice, cool server, and I believe you're in it as well.
Yeah.
But there isn't much resources for us coaches to get together and just kind of shoot the shit and the lore around us build, so like really wanted to have that avenue with the pod, and super fucking grateful again just to have you around, dude, and to get you in this slot and get you in here as soon as possible for this thing.
Yeah. No. I thank you guys again. I'm just so glad that I came to talk to people like-minded goals and like-minded skill sets, and it was really fun. I'm glad I don't talk to a lot of coaches outside the game or inside the game, so it was really a breath of fresh air. Honestly, I'm glad to be here with you guys. It was awesome.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I mean, the Talmage podcast for sure want to have you on there, but I think it's unfair to the same thing I said to Cad, man. It's unfair to leave it to one episode. I think you have so much to offer. I would love to have you on again in the future, brother.
No,
Absolutely.
thank you. No, anytime. I'm available pretty much every day, so I'm here for it.
That's
All right,
awesome.
brother. Well, any closing remarks for anybody, guys?
Yeah, status quo to Pro League. Here we go.
Status Code of Pro League.
There you have it,
SQ to
ladies and
Pro League.
gentlemen. SQ to Pro League. Stamp it, hit it in, invest
Heard it here
early.
first.
You heard it here first. Now I'm gonna
Yes,
leak the
sir.
roster right now. Ready? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
On second thought, that's how much episode. Kiss him goodbye. Get him out. There's the door. There's the door. There's the
I
door.
got you. I got you. No way. I got you. I got you.
He's gonna say J dot and he's gonna disconnect.
J. Apex.
Huh?
Crew buckle. Boomish. There you go. Crew buckle's on retiring.
There it is,
That's
ladies and
huge.
gentlemen. Dragged him out of the
Brother.
fucking retirement home. Wheelchair and all. Just pull him out.
Let's go.
It took,
Dude. Fuck yeah.
it took a lot, but yeah, he's returning.
So
Fuck yeah, dude.
how much money did you have to sacrifice from Flame Sword in order to pay that guy to come back?
Don't worry
You
about
took
it.
the salary cut. You took the salary cut.
Oh my god. Brother.
Oh
right,
man.
I'm signing off, brother. Everybody who tuned in, everybody from chat, I appreciate
Yes,
you guys.
everyone appreciate you guys.
again, I feel like the community outdid my questions. Maybe a select preparation for me this week, but I'm coming with it next week. So, all my community teams that like to tune in and give questions, fucking on your asses next week, man. Fuck you, all right? New Year's with Talmage, I'm fucking burning that shit up, all right, man. You better bring some fucking
Definitely,
heat.
yeah, definitely
You better
bring the
bring
heat
some
for
heat.
Talmadge.
Yeah,
Can't wait to talk to that
yeah.
guy again.
All right, brother. Well, much love, everybody. See you guys the next time. We outie.
Waiter.